A couple of years ago, I was explaining to someone why Micah believes in this nationally embraced approach to ending homelessness called housing first. The person actually stopped me mid-sentence and said, "Wait, you mean to tell me that if you put a homeless person in a house, they are no longer homeless?" I never thought about it that way. The person was dumbfounded. And the answer is yes. Ending homelessness can be that simple. Person, house, together, no more sleeping outside. In practice, there's a lot more to that. Things that keep people in housing. But the very first step is to remove a person from survival circumstances, get them indoors, and work on all that other stuff after they have some stability. But we forget that because historically, society had this idea that solutions came in the reverse order. People thought that if you lose your house, you go to a shelter where someone figures out what's wrong with you, and then you earn your way into housing. If you couldn't complete the steps because of a disability or other circumstance, too bad. You'd run out of time, you'd get kicked out of the shelter until you learned your lesson and the program decided that you were serious enough to try again. While that approach worked for some people, it had devastating consequences for some very vulnerable subgroups, like youth, mentally ill, the elderly, just to name a few. And that's one of the reasons street and chronic homelessness became this thing and this growing thing throughout the country. Then, in the 1990s, this fellow by the name of Dr. Sam Simbaris, who was a clinician working with mentally ill and unhoused folks in New York City, decided to try something new. He took people directly from the street, put them in housing, and gave them support, and in a period of time, their conditions began to improve. Their addiction lessened, and many who previously refused treatment accepted it. It actually took until about 2010, but state and federal funders eventually picked up this model as a best practice, and communities around the country began to implement it. Here in Fredericksburg, organizations like Micah, Hope House, and Empower House all believe in housing as a first step to stability and dignity.
Right.
As we help families and individuals overcome homelessness in our community. In our community alone, the approach demonstrates that 85% of people who receive housing first keep it. The rest might lose it and try again, but often second or third, even fourth, can be a charm. One challenge, however, is some communities have implemented housing first very poorly. Even Dr. Simbaris will tell you it is never meant to be. Housing first is not housing only. Housing first is a highly supportive, very involved, and person-centered approach. Of course it doesn't work when those other things are missing. And that's some of the discrepancy in the federal funding conversation right now. Housing first is not a failed model. Some programs and some communities have simply failed to implement it with all the love and care that was intended to help people have not just housing, but all the support that is needed to actually overcome homelessness. The word on the street is housing. Housing first. Yes, housing is a very important resource to offer first if we want people to no longer sleep outside.